Championship Wreckage, brought to you by Rivet City Radio and the World Championship Wreckage YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Today's episode, Halloween Havoc 1997. I hope I'm not spoiling the show too much, but when most people think of Halloween Havoc 97, they think about the clinic that Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio Jr. put on during this night. Or they may think of Diamond Dallas Page versus the Macho Man Randy Savage for the very last time. A lot of people purchased this pay-per-view hoping to see a true winner between Hogan and Piper after all these years, considering the match was taking place in a cage. We didn't get a real winner, but we did get Piper biting Hogan in the We got the Macho Man jumping off the cage. But the most memorable thing for me was Alex Wright filling in for the missing Jeff Jarrett. And for all of you Atlanta Falcons fans out there, just remember, you guys can get a Super Bowl ring. You just need a pretty lady to give you one from a member of the Chicago Bears.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of World Championship Wreckage here on the World Championship Wreckage YouTube channel. It is I, your friendly neighborhood DadHat wearing wrestling fan, joined with me, as always, from Box Spots and Share Shots and everything over at Rivet City Radio, the Will Gray. What's up, buddy?
Hi, friend. How are you?
Tired.
That's
So
understandable.
tired. So tired. Work is tired. Kids are tiring. Everything's tiring. But join with us this week. I am so glad that we finally get her on an episode. My bestie, I've been with her on TikTok pretty much since I started and everything. And she stuck by me. I stick by her. She's one of the good ones, Shanna Hill. And now she's got a new TikTok because #FuckFightTV.
Yes.
Yes.
That's what I hear.
Yes. FuckFightTV. Hey, Shanna.
Hi.
But I say one of the, if not the most knowledgeable people I know that I've met through TikTok, who loves all things WCW. So it was only a matter of time before we got you on here.
Yes.
Well, today, folks, we're talking about Halloween Havoc 1997. But before we get started, I got some stuff I got to cover first. I messaged Will like a week and a half ago, and I was like, I've got to call you out on something because you called me out inadvertently without even knowing it. So I'm going to read, and I quote, a tweet from Will. Updated cult power rankings. Number 1, Swifties. 2,
Yeah.
Disney
Facts.
adults.
Whoa, that's a good one.
3, NFL fanatics.
Also a good one.
4, MLM boss babes.
Yep.
5, megas.
Yeah.
Make America great. You do realize that I'm a freaking Disney adult.
I'm aware. And I love you nonetheless. I have friends that are Swifties. I don't yuck any yums. That's 100% my life choice. You can do whatever you want.
I was like, why you calling me out, Will? Why you calling me out?
Can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
So I have a friend of mine from high school, been a lifelong friend. And the other day she posted on Instagram how she was doing the travel agent thing. All right. And I was like, okay, this smells kind of pyramid schemey, but I mean, it is what it is. Fuck it. I'm not going to yuck any yums, right? And then I find out not only is she a travel agent, but she's selling timeshares that are also in accordance with Disney. And I was like, bitch, you're in a cult. 100% a cult.
I've thought about doing it.
Yes. Yes.
I've thought about doing the whole Disney travel agent thing. I can get
Yeah. They make fat cash, dude.
Yeah, they do.
They make such good money.
Well, the other thing I've got to call you out on. So we still have to record our Raven episode because it did win.
Yeah.
But with this win, my friend, you have tied me. You have officially tied me. You have come a long way from me being up a lot. So, like,
I'm just saying,
you're on a freaking winning streak right now. But before we get started, as you can see, it is October. It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. This is last year's Self Bet Wrestling. Shout out to Self Bet Wrestling. his breast cancer awareness shirt for last year. But this year, if you go to his link tree in his page, or just go over to Sweet Dollface Creations and go to her site, we're doing it again, and we got some new designs. This one I actually designed. So you've
I
got
like that.
everybody from the Rest Talk Wolfpack, Self Bet, Ginger Ninja,
Mhm.
me, and the Tribal Queen Bree. And then Sweet Dollface came up with this lovely, same logos, but got the breast cancer with the butterfly. Both are available. All of the proceeds go to Susan G. Komen for research and development for breast cancer awareness. Please go pick up a shirt. It's also kind of cool. It's got a QR code on the sleeve that takes you directly to the Rest Talk Wolfpack Twitch page. So, all right. So, Will, it's October. Just like for September, we did Fall Brawl. October, we got to talk about Halloween Havoc. So that's what we're doing for the month of October. And you won, and I knew this was going to be the first one. Like, I don't even know why I even threw out a choice last week.
There wasn't
But
any other choice.
Halloween Havoc 1997. And I know you have been waiting on this. So the floor is yours, my friend.
In the big scheme of things, there are things in wrestling that I'll say. I use this analogy a ton on botch pots and share shots. No free shout outs, but that's the Mount Rushmore of bullshit. My Mount Rushmore of cult rankings, like all kinds of shit. I constantly put things in lists that nobody asks for. This is always at the top of my favorite pay-per-views of all time. For everything up until the main event.
Yeah.
Everything up until the main event. Good stories, good established builds. Everything about it was great. It was in that nice hot spot of WCW before Russo and Bischoff shit the bed, but after it decided to stop being a ripoff of Mortal Kombat. This was that sweet spot of WCW. As a fan, Shanna, have you ever watched WCW before this point? Did you see Halloween Havoc as a kid? And did you rewatch it, or was this the first time you've seen 97 specifically?
So WCW is actually what got me into wrestling. So I watched WCW more often than I ever watched the WWF. During the Monday Night Wars, I always picked WCW. So I have seen every Halloween Havoc. I didn't remember it, obviously, off the top of my head. So I went back through and rewatched it today, and then it kick-started some memories. And I was like, now I know why I only watched it once, because the main event was a little something. So
We'll get there.
There's a couple matches on this card that are matches that are like those we're going to talk about because of things that happened during those matches. Then there's matches that were just kind of there to be there. I think the opening match is one of those matches.
Yeah.
Yuji Nagata with Sonny Ono versus Ultimo Dragon. The key things, my notes I took away from this, it was another WCW with another cruiserweight starting out. Because you and I talk about it every time we do a watch along. Cruiserweights always start hot. The difference with this one is it was kind of the strength versus speed. So the first question on the first match before I ask you what I think is the biggest important about the first match is, was Ultimo Dragon the first belt collector? Because this was less than a year before he won the J Cup Octuple Crown Championship and got draped in gold with the 8 titles and eventually 9. So was he the first belt collector, the Ultimo Dragon?
He's the first person I think of whenever I think of a belt collector.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and that was a big talking point during the match anyway, that they were talking about him, holding so many titles. So I think of that iconic picture of him with like his arms out and all of the belts anytime I think about a belt collector.
Yeah, same thing. I mean, that picture is iconic and everything. And I mean, he just had so many. Like, of course, the most recent one was Kenny Omega, and I mean, he had quite a few and everything, but it was nowhere near
9 titles.
Yeah, like
9.
wearing, carrying, and having a manager wear and carry titles. Like, yeah, like Ultimo Dragon, I feel like is one that people just like sleep on and don't talk enough about from WCW. Like, They always mention the Malenkos, the Jerichos, the Mysterios. You know, I feel like the Juventud Guerreras and all those are great. I feel like Ultimo Dragon just like they'll get brought up, but people are just like, and Ultimo Dragon.
I can agree with that. He beat Malenko to win the cruiserweight title when that was the 9th belt that he took. One takeaway from this match: Raven, Perry Saturn, Stevie Ray, and Billy Kidman all showed up in the crowd to like hang out and mingle with the people. They keep getting brought up later because this is when they first started to show up in WCW as the
Flock.
Yeah, the Flock. Nagata gets the win. What I think, though, is the biggest takeaway, and I'm curious what you guys thought too, is Sonny Ono not necessarily turning because he was already against the Ultimo Dragon, but beating up the Ultimo Dragon, because all I remembered as a kid was Sonny Ono being the manager of the Ultimo Dragon. I don't remember him hiring Nagata to go after him, to be the hired arm, to come in to take him out. I didn't remember this at all. So watching this today, I was kind of like, that's a cool little like Easter egg. I don't ever remember happening because I don't remember Sonny Ono turning on Ultimo Dragon. Did you guys remember that?
No.
No, and I thought the same thing when I saw it. I was like, wait a minute, this is backwards. I think I missed a few chapters before it got to this point, but I thought the same thing.
Well, I was like, it started and I was like, what is Yuji Nagata doing on my screen right now? Like, am I
thought the same
like
thing.
like this is WCW Halloween Havoc? Like, what? What?
The first two matches, I felt like they were very New Japan heavy.
Oh yeah,
because you had those two, then you had Ghetto and Chris Jericho, but this was like super blonde hair Lionheart Chris Jericho. My notes literally say Lionheart Chris Jericho had beautiful hair. Like his hair was so nice.
golden like the sun.
It was. I was like, and he had that was right when he started using the music that he used when he came into WWE, because I recognized his theme. I can't remember the name because I'm terrible about that shit. But I was like, that's the song. Like that was his theme. And this was one of the
walls.
It's the Break the Walls Down theme.
Yeah, because WWE, no, that's not because WWE has gone through everything with Jericho and put their music on. So if you can find it on YouTube or find anything else, you'll have the actual music he came out to. But yeah, WWE has gone over everything. Same thing with DDP's music. You don't get it sounds like smells like Teen Spirit. It's some generic like guitar riff.
I like the fact that we got this version of Chris Jericho though. This really young Chris Jericho, the huge top rope, Hurricanrana, the Jericho spike, the real technical work that you got to see him do, because this was before Jericho became a real strong character worker. Jade, you got to get out of here. Before he became a real strong character worker, he was still relying so heavily on his in-ring work. The quick finish into the Lion Tamer. What did you guys think about a young Chris Jericho, as big as he is now? Even if it was somebody like Ghetto, no offense, but a 7-minute match from the mid-90s, like, especially if you weren't a big New Japan guy, you're not going to know who he was. But everybody knows who Chris Jericho is now. So looking at that work now, what'd you think about it?
I said in my notes actually that I have that's my favorite time period of Chris Jericho. Like during that with a little bit further down with his, programs with Dean Malenko and stuff like that. I think that's when Chris Jericho really like started catching the attention of people, because you had such a stacked cruiserweight division that like a white blonde Canadian man is not the stereotypical like cruiserweight that you're going to look at when you're surrounded by, the luchadors and the Japanese wrestlers. And then you see this bleach blonde, Canadian guy going with the best of them. And in my opinion, I think it's his best work in his entire career.
For me, it's funny looking back, like this early Chris Jericho. Like, I remember this, but like I remember what grabbed me with Chris Jericho was the stuff with Dean Malenko. Like the turning heel, throwing the tantrums, taking a chair to the corner and just hitting the outside term like post, and leading into like the conspiracy victim where he did the vignettes in Washington D.C. and his hair is all crazy, and like
That aged well.
yeah, yeah. Uh, ooh, go back, go back 20, 30 years now. But yeah, like I don't know, it was the start, and you could see a little bit of like what was to come, but this was still I'm a good worker, Chris Jericho. Watch what I can do. I don't have a character yet.
I mean, that pretty much sums it up. You find so much of that in these early pay-per-views and the CW cards where you find the short matches that are just filler matches. And I feel like in wrestling in 2023, you can't have filler matches on pay-per-views anymore because the crowd and the fans are so analytical. They would be like, this match makes no sense. A Jericho Ghetto match, even if it would be a Forbidden Door match in 2023, people would be like, this match makes no fucking sense. Why are we paying money to watch this happen?
Yeah.
In 1997, fans expected some of these matches. Do you see differences in booking from watching a 97 pay-per-view to watching a 2023 pay-per-view as we come out of an AEW pay-per-view going into a WWE pay-per-view? Now we've had a shit ton of wrestling, pay-per-view wise to watch. Do you see a big booking difference in a 97 pay-per-view versus how we're getting spoon-fed wrestling now?
To me, I think I see a difference. It's company to company though. So like with the WWE, even if you have a filler match and you, like you said, you definitely wouldn't have one in a pay-per-view. I think that people are so hooked on long-term storytelling within the WWE that they'll find something from like 3 years ago where one person wrestled another person and try to say that that's long-term storytelling. But the WWE, with it being more sports entertainment oriented, they need to tell the story face to face. But AEW, especially with Forbidden Door and stuff like that, where people might not know some of the New Japan guys, a lot of their matches are told actually wrestling in the ring. So I think if you expect to see it, like physically see it, then it wouldn't fly in the WWE. But I think in AEW, because of the Forbidden Door aspect and stuff, I think people are okay with just seeing dream matches as opposed to like a build up to that dream match, if that makes sense.
What about you, DadHat?
It's you look back at these old pay-per-views, and we've watched a lot of watch-alongs here recently. I mean, and there's a lot of what we would call in 2023 is like your bathroom break match. There's quite a few, and I mean, I feel like fans, if you were to show a wrestling fan this pay-per-view now, that's really only more of a fan of like what's going on current day, they would literally be bored out of their mind. But then they're also missing great matches.
I feel like sometimes some of these sleeper matches are the match of the night candidates. You and I say it a ton with those cruiserweight matches, especially how they could sneak in there and be match of the night. Speaking of cruiserweight matches that sneak in there and become match of the night,
Match of the company,
match of the decade. Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio Jr. It's for the cruiserweight title. It's a mask versus title match. From beginning to end, this match is epic. I didn't take any notes about it when I watched it this time. It says cruiserweight title, great finish, just talk. That's literally what my notes say for this match, because we could sit here and we could overanalyze every moment in time. But really, for me, when I watch it, I watch for the little details that I've always missed in the past. You know what I mean? Because it's like rewatching a movie or The Office or something you've seen 100 times, and then you'll hear a line or see a moment you may not have ever got before. So for me, I was watching this time from a perspective of just watch the match, just have fun, and just enjoy it. And what I enjoyed most about it was for every single lie, cheat, or still moment when Eddie Guerrero tried to take the advantage, Rey Mysterio would have a counter as a good guy. And for every time Rey Mysterio would counter as a good guy, Eddie Guerrero would have a counter as the more experienced wrestler. So it was this eternal struggle of reversals, then this dance back and forth all the way up until the finish, with the crucifix off the second rope going into a Hurricanrana, into the pin, and Rey just having to set everything he had down, all tore the fuck up for the win. What did you guys think about it watching it back? Because we've all seen the match, but looking at it this time, what did you guys think about it watching it?
When I watch it, like I said, the cruiserweights have always been my jam. So I was like you said, the storytelling back and forth, like it was the epitome of the good guy telling you why he's better and the bad guy telling you why he's better. And I liked the shot at the end after Ray wins and his mask is torn, because that adds like a little bit more to to the story. And I also think it was funny because I never noticed this before. He had his mask sewn into his ring gear. So then Eddie couldn't get it off if he tried. So then he would have to rip it off of him. So I feel like that was kind of metaphorical. Like, I'm not going to give you the chance to take this from me. You're going to have to pry it off my cold dead body kind of thing. And I just thought the shot at the end where his face was like halfway out of the mask was like the perfect metaphorical end to, you know, what good versus evil, you know, kind of was going on in that match. And you don't really see matches today like that. Like, you can see a match telling a story, but it's really hard to get that like feeling, you know, behind a match like you did with them. And their chemistry was just so good every single time. And then they played up the fact that it was like the third time they were wrestling each other like this, and there was no way that Ray was going to beat Eddie for a third time. And then he pulled it out, and I just thought it was really good storytelling.
Yeah, I mean, there's very few matches you can look at and say perfect from start to finish. Perfect. This is one. And you know, we've talked about this a lot, Will. We did a whole episode very early on Eddie Guerrero, Chavo Jr., that relationship. This time frame of Eddie is my absolute favorite. Dragging the belt, just that dirty heel. He is, like, to me, this is more important and more impressive to me than his WWE title win, any run he had. I mean, the run he had with it, beating Brock, JBL, you know, Los Guerreros, anything he did in WWE. This is my time frame for Eddie. And I found myself like this time, like, I really think, and this is me being very biased, I think 2023 Justin as a fan is so disinterested in Rey Mysterio that looking back on it, I'm just like, oh, look at what you used to be and look what you're doing now. Like, look what you did, and like, yes, you're still,
yeah, it's not the same person. Not the same person.
Like, you're babysitting a stable right now that's clinging on for dear life with the LWO. When you were a former world champion, you literally defined a whole division in WCW. I don't know the last time I was interested in Rey Mysterio, other than, I mean, when he won his world title was probably the last time.
Yeah.
So, but looking back on it now, it makes me miss this Ray. But I always watch this match, and you know me, I like my heels. I like the heels. So, and especially Eddie at this time. So the entire time I'm just like, come on, Eddie. Like, I know the outcome, but come on.
The gear, when they did that stupid Hidden Treasures or Forbidden Treasures thing on A&E.
I love that show.
I liked the first season better than I did the second season, and I'm not
I haven't seen second.
I'm not a top dollar person, but I think AJ Francis in that first season, playing AJ Francis, the hungry wrestling student trying to learn and make it in the business, learning on the road, was super cool. The second season, when they were just putting legends on legends deals on episode, trying to swindle the gear from people, not quite as much. But seeing Ray who still has the gear from this match. That was super cool because it's one of my favorites.
Mm.
But also talking about 97 Hill Eddie. This run for Eddie is the reason why we got Rey Mysterio. If 97 Eddie didn't happen, Rey Mysterio would have never gotten his push. This win would have never mattered. Rey Mysterio would have never been catapulted into the run of the cruiserweight division. So all of this coming out of 97 Hill Eddie Guerrero gave us everything we got later from Rey Mysterio.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Do we know what happened? There she is.
I'm back. Sorry, my cat was scratching at the door, and I had to tell her to calm down.
Mine's in here somewhere. She's lost forever now, though, because she's not getting out till I get up to open the door. She did this to herself. The black and white Hogan promos, like, is there anything either of you really want to say about the NWO Hogan promos in the middle of the pay-per-view? Like, DadHat knows I fast forward through this nonsense unless I know it's a very particular promo. I usually fast forward. Did y'all have any notes about the promos? Did y'all watch the promos?
I watched the first one and then I fast forwarded through the other ones.
Yeah. To steal a line from fellow show here on World Championship Wreckage Queen's Court, fuck you, Terry.
Yeah.
Like,
I've been going on Hulk Hogan rants for the past few weeks, so I get it.
So this is my Hulk Hogan rant, and I understand, like, you know, I've said it today, as a matter of fact. I've said it on this show. I've said it everywhere in my life. I'm a retired fuckboy. So it is what it is. There's three sides to every story. Side one, side two, and the truth. Except in Hulk Hogan's case, because everything that fucking man says is lies from beginning to end. He tried to pitch the idea that his son was going to be at WrestleMania 39 to wrestle Shane McMahon. And he pitched the idea like it was set in stone. WWE has came out and was like, no, bro. It's been 13 years since his kid's name came across our desks. It's been even longer than that since we thought about using him in any creative content or context. They were like, this is just absolute lies. So I'm convinced that everything he says as a person is completely made up. 100%.
Just ask Metallica, you know? Just ask Metallica. They know that Terry is a liar, you know?
Didn't they say they didn't even know him personally? They were like, we know who Hulk Hogan is, but we've literally never met the man. So for him to say he was supposed to be our bass player is ridiculous. That's nuts.
Yes. And like I said, you know, I've been ranting about Hulk Hogan for TikTok page is gone and fuck fight TV, but on my other page I had been ranting about him because I understand, and if you look back at all the stuff he did, like, what did he really do? You know, he's the bathroom break of WCW during the mid and late 90s.
Yeah. I've said it my entire time as a wrestling fan. I was always down with Macho Madness. I was never a Hulkamaniac.
Same.
No, not even. Maybe a little bit, but I mean, I was also like 5 years old, so we could blame that version of Will if we want to. I'm okay with it. Next, good old Alex Wright, Dad.
Right.
How does he always just end up on this show? The dance, like everything about it.
He's so great.
Steve Mongo McMichael. Nothing. This is one of those things where it was exactly what you thought. You were going to get. They looked at him. They said, with your entrances, with the after everything that afterwards, everything that happens, you guys get like 10 minutes. And you know what these guys did? They went out there and they worked their asses off for 6.5 of it, and then all hell broke loose. We got Goldberg in this match.
The Goldberg that should have stuck around. Like, he's like a mercenary. Like, cool, you paid me, I'm gonna take out this person. Like, that Goldberg right there in that match was interesting.
He straight, like, 100% came in, wrecked everybody, stole a Super Bowl ring, and left. I was like, this is a Goldberg that I could get behind.
Yeah.
Well, the funniest part was
That's what Hogan
go
said
ahead.
too.
Yeah. No, go ahead. About Goldberg.
I was gonna say the kicker with the whole Goldberg situation is when he goes to pick up Mongo for the
Jackhammer.
jackhammer, and he hits the ref, and the ref
I
just
know.
looks at him but pretends like he's not even there.
The
He's just
ref-
My
like,
notes say
okay.
Little Nate is oblivious because he bumps
He
him.
turns, looks at him, and he's
He
like,
is-
"Oh, I'm supposed to be looking over here."
He is deaf. He is blind. He is like oblivious to
100% had no idea what was happening in
the
his ring
ring
at any point.
shakes from the jackhammer. He bounces.
And he's like, "Nope, what? Saw nothing."
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
The-
short and I know that you can't see much from down there. So maybe he just didn't see anything.
They have the two most oblivious refs in WCW history, Little Nate and Nick Patrick.
Oh, Nick
And
Patrick.
these two have no idea what's happening in a ring 90% of the time they're there.
Mhm.
Alex did get the win there, but like I said, the match was good. It was a 6-minute match, but what happened afterwards with Goldberg coming in, wrecking everybody, stealing the ring, getting all that knocked out, that was it. Again,
I forgot about Queen Deborah. Like you think of Deborah, you think of either Austin's wife or with Jeff Jarrett and Owen Hart and the puppy era, like that.
Mhm.
Like I totally forgot that this. I mean, I remember her being in WCW sometimes with Mongo, and I remember then there was that. But I'm like, it's like, did she always dress like a queen?
it was a prom queen.
Yeah, she
Prom
did.
Queen Deborah.
Mhm. Yep.
I mean, it is what it is. I think this is the long lost era of the valet in pro wrestling because we've talked about it. We had the managers episode. When we see these people, they were a part of a story that we don't necessarily get now. You see your Zelina Vegas and stuff like that, your BFABs, but these are working managers. They're going to go out and have matches on the card. These valets at the time, your Sensational Sherrys, your Deborahs, like these women were workers, but they were valets that told a story about what a manager was supposed to do. They were like the female Jim Cornette. You know, Corny wasn't going to get in there and put you in a collar and elbow, but he could play a very important role in the match he was telling. And I feel like that's how Deborah was at this point. You didn't expect her to work at all, but you knew she was going to be a viable part of the story for what they were telling. And we just don't get that anymore.
Not since Lana, I don't think. I feel like Lana, before Vince made her wrestle, I feel like she was the last actual valet that we've ever really had. And she was
When
believable.
she was the ravishing Russian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pollo Del Mar. Pollo Del Mar is making a comeback for the valet in the NWA. I'll always find a reason to shout the NWA out any chance I get. DadHat.
Yes.
It's your boy. Disco Inferno.
Oh, fuck you.
Him and Jacqueline. And we talked about a match very similar to this when we had Crowbar on. When him and Daphne had the match for the cruiserweight title. And they were, having fun and giving each other noogies and going back and forth. Jacqueline got the win here. But I think, again, the bigger takeaway to watch what happened, this was a good, safe comedy match. He went in there. He did moves that made Jacqueline look good, that made her look like $1 million. He sold well for her. He was able to put her over safely. And I can't believe I'm saying that about this asshole. But
see, I think you've got it reversed. I think
you think Jacqueline made Disco look good?
No, yeah, because I mean, she had to do the same thing in WWF with Sable. Like that's why she got like her and like Luna Vachon, like Sable got put with them because they could work and they knew what they were doing. So I mean, I think it's Jackie carrying Disco here. I mean, all Disco had to do, I mean, the commentators did the whole storytelling. Like he can't hit her. They can't, like, what's he gonna do? He can't hit her. He can't and like I don't, to this day. I mean, I remember this match, but I'm like, why didn't you just go walk and get counted out? Like if you didn't want to do anything.
Yeah. What did you think about Disco and Jackie, Shayna?
Well, I don't like Disco Inferno.
Who
But I
does other
thought
than Disco Inferno?
I do think she carried the match. Like, I think that she like led it almost. Like it wasn't like you would see, especially now you don't see it anymore. But I saw Disco Inferno wrestle Scarlett Bordeaux a couple years ago in Vegas, and she carried that match too against him until Killer Cross came out and destroyed him. But I think that as much as he talks about things, at that point in time, he let her carry that match, and I think it made her look really strong without making it cheesy. Like, it didn't look like he was just letting her win or just like slapping him around or whatever. She made him look like he knew what he was doing wrestling a woman instead of her knowing what to do to wrestle a man.
I agree. I said my notes say Disco had fun, Jackie had fun. Because that's what it looked like when you watched the match. Neither one of them had to work too hard to make that match look good.
Yeah.
That's agreed. 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other. You know what I mean? Like this match, however, like this next one, completely forgot it happened. Of all the Ric Flair matches and Kurt Hennig matches I've watched, I don't remember this one. I don't remember the sleeveless Ric Flair rope. And even Jax and I was
great.
Jax and I were watching it, and we talked about how like there are the infamous robes in wrestling, but nobody ever brings this one up, and I completely forgot about it. It was also for the U.S. title, and then we noticed after the match when Kurt Hennig is going to the back, he doesn't have the U.S. title. He has the cruiserweight title.
That's why he doesn't. He's kind of carrying it by his side coming out. Yeah. He's carrying that that cruiserweight title.
And we got a DQ finish. So I mean, it is what it is. Again, a great match, but this is one of those like great matches between two legends that just slip through the cracks because of all the great Flair matches we've talked about. We talked about Hennig, but I don't remember this specific match, and it was a solid 13-minute match, but just a Flair Hennig match that Flair. Yeah,
the follow up what we just talked about a few weeks ago from War Games '97, where he gets his head bashed in the cage. And I mean, that's the commentator's whole thing is like, oh, he came back too soon. Oh, he came back too soon. I mean, yeah, it was. I caught the sleeveless robe too and going, that looks weird.
Mm-hmm. Didn't even think about it. Completely forgot it existed.
And Kurt Hennig wrestled. He wrestled in it for the first like 10 minutes of the match, and then Ric Flair stole it off of him and then put it back on himself.
I want to know how hard it was to work in that robe. I mean, I'm just saying.
I mean, Rick probably doesn't remember the match anyway, so it's okay.
I saw his last match. I was there in the building, and it was unnecessary. Watching this match in '97, he didn't look too far off from where he looked in 2022. And I'm just saying. And the man continued to wrestle for 30 years after this. So it is what it is. It's Ric Flair, man. Like greatest of all time, sort of, if you think so. You know, some people think. I don't really think so, but he's the nature boy. You know, 16-time world champion. Mr. Perfect's the greatest to never win the big one outside of the AWA. And like I said, just a great match that maybe fell through the cracks. Not the greatest Hennig Flair match in all time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And who comes to the rescue? Vincent and Conan.
Why?
Crowd. Yeah. You have a stacked NWO. Vincent and Conan.
Why would you send the B team out there?
Yeah.
You have Hogan. You have Macho Man. You have Scott Hall. All in the building.
Yeah.
And you send out
Vincent and Conan. What they thought. It's what they thought about Kurt at that point in time. If you're going to send your B team, what does that mean that you think about Kurt Hennig?
Yeah.
Like, Hogan wasn't going to show up because his whole shtick the whole night was, I'm not coming because I can't be assured that Sting isn't going to be here. And then everybody else is like, well, we're not going to show up either. We're doing something else. So they're like, well, we don't think too highly of Kurt, so let's just send out the scrubs of the group at this point in time.
Yeah.
Next, we have the best wrestling t-shirt in history. We have the living legend Larry Zbyszko.
I love the living legend.
We have Scott Hall.
Me too.
We have what maybe was the match of the night if Eddie and Ray weren't on the card.
Yeah.
So, like,
that's saying something for a Lex Luger match.
Yeah. You look at it, and starting from the very beginning, when he gets in the ring and he starts running the ropes, the way Six like oversells it, like bouncing around on the turnbuckles, like he's giving Scott Hall like the boxer's massage in the corner. From beginning to the end, this match was very reminiscent of like the Razor Ramon Scott Hall we got in WrestleMania 10. Like, I felt like this point of Scott Hall's WCW run was when he really felt comfortable being Scott Hall.
Well,
and it was really
about a month before he won World War III.
Perfect example then. Like, I felt like he looked the most comfortable here. Yeah. Of all the Scott Hall I've recently watched, this was it. He wins super dirty. Six gets involved in, like I said, the absolute best wrestling shirt in history, the black NWO shirt with the green Six pool ball on the back. My favorite wrestling shirt of all time.
I've never had that one. I still need to get that one.
Mine too. It's on my list. I will have it. Shaking of the ring, like I said, probably match of the night if Eddie and Ray weren't on the card. What did you guys think about just a hard-hitting Lex Luger and Scott Hall match? Just snuck in there. Like, it was deceptively good out of nowhere.
I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. And then I just have a note here about how much of a menace Spock was, and about how Larry Zbyszko just destroyed him.
I love the Zbyszko, like, Scott Hall feud because it went on for a while. And then we got him at Starrcade later that year. But, like, I love that. To me, it's weird though. Like, when Six came out with Scott, I don't know why in my brain, like, Six and X-Pac
are different people.
Yeah, but like he walks out this time with the headband and the glasses and the leather jacket and the NWO shirt, and I'm like, that's X-Pac walking out the night after WrestleMania 14. Returning and joining DX, because it's the exact same thing other than the NWO outfit shirt.
The shirt.
And I'm like, I know, I'm not stupid. Yeah, it's the same person, but it's just like, for some reason, there's always just been kind of like this weird disconnect for me with Six and X-Pac. But I was like, nope, there it is. There it is. That ties the knot together. that links the chain.
He was one of the first people for me that was the connection of the whole, like, wait a second, 1, 2, 3, kid. Six, X-Pac. It's all the same motherfucker, guys. Like, it's just the same dude with different names. And he's the one of the kid
just had a super long mullet and had that baby fat around the face.
That was X-Pac was one of the early examples for me as a young wrestling fan, where we were starting to get to this point in the mid-90s, like 12-year-old Will's like, you can't fucking fool me. Like, it's the same dude. Like, different channel, same person. This match that we're getting to was the main event of the match.
Yeah.
The main event of the card. I'm just going to say it because when we get to the cage match, I'm just going to shit on it for 90 seconds. And then I'm going to let you guys talk. I'm going to tell you all the things wrong with it. DDP and Macho Man, two of my favorite WCW wrestlers, the Las Vegas sudden death match, which sounds to me to be amazing. And then I watched it again, and I remember watching it, and I remember what I got. My notes are very reminiscent of any time I watched Deathmatch Wrestling DadHat. The first thing I wrote was, oh, this is our train wreck match, because these guys wrestled everywhere. They broke everything. They did everything you could possibly do, and then some. If there was a kitchen sink involved, I'm sure they would have pulled it out. They literally wrestled everywhere in the stage set, from the ring there and back. They broke $100,000 camera. Or so the commentary team said. I'm calling shenanigans on here. I had that bullshit VHS tape. That's what we recorded Backyard Wrestling with. That's not $100,000. They're liars.
It's a
Nick
Turner
Patrick.
camera. It's a
It's-
Turner camera.
It was. Come on. He bought WCW for $1 million. That camera was worth 10% of your fucking company.
I was
Taz.
just getting ready to say that. I was just getting
Like,
ready to say
that camera was 10% of your company's worth. That's why you got bought out, my friend. That's it. Because you were buying $100,000 cameras in 1997. No.
He put the decimal point in the wrong spot. It was really only $1,000. He added some zeros.
I don't even care. To me, I immediately wrote it down. I was like, this motherfucker's getting blasted. I'm roasting him for that dumbass take. That's like when they say the steel steps weigh 250 pounds and they're like, just throwing them at you. Like, yeah, that's 250 pounds. That makes complete sense. Nick Patrick takes a ref bump in the most graceful way possible because it's like, oh, sorry, Nick. And he's like, fuck.
Yeah.
Like, flails out of the way. Diamond cutter, doesn't matter. Savage still gets the win.
Worst Savage elbow drop ever. It just falls on him.
It did kind of look like he just kind of fell
He
off
gets
the
up there.
top rope.
Uh,
And he's, yeah.
But Shivani, man, he sold it like it was $1 million. They're just dropping the point, the best elbow drop in the business. And it was like he tripped and like stumbled into it.
yeah. With a horrible finish.
Mm-hmm.
This card had so much build in so many good ways with so much raw talent that I feel like they get a pass in some ways for some of the finishes because there was so much good work.
Mm-hmm.
This match is one of them because I feel like DDP was phenomenal from beginning to end. Everything he did to put Macho Man over, he let him play his hits. He got everything in. Macho Man was the quintessential vet here because he helped make sure that DDP looked like $1 million in a loss, even in a dirty loss. You know, he still looked good. Like, this should have been the main event. The cage match shouldn't have been there.
It didn't happen. It was a fever dream. That's the main event. That's the end.
That's the end of that's it, ladies and gentlemen. DadHat, it's
Have a
yours.
good
Where
night.
let's start plugging the polls for next week. Okay. So it's 1997. It's Halloween Havoc. We're in WCW. And we have two so-called icons of the business.
Hold on. I gotta say a couple things about the Savage and DDP before you get to the train wreck.
Okay, I thought you guys had already finished. I'm sorry.
No, sorry.
Okay, sorry.
The DDP Savage feud is my feud of the entire WCW company. It's a short-lived one, and you get 3 killer matches between Spring Stampede 97, Great American Bash 97, Halloween Havoc. Then you get that long break, and how does DDP win his first title? Who's the special guest referee? Randy Savage.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just worked so well. And I mean, help make DDP a main eventer. I mean, even DDP has said that in interviews. Like Randy made me a star. He made me a main eventer. You get Kimberly and Elizabeth action in here.
That was in my notes.
Yeah, like teenage Justin was in love with both of them.
Understandably so.
Yeah. Like it. I don't know. It's just something about those. Like it. I love this feud. I don't know what it is about. Like. Sorry to ruin some polls here in the future, but we've already talked about watching all 3 of these with Bree from the Rostock Wolfpack and Queen's Court here because she, doing Queen's Court, has fallen in love with Randy Savage, but only because she's ever seen him as a commentator, not as a wrestler. So we want to watch all 3 of these matches so she can see him here as a heel. And I love it. I love everything down to his neon green lightning bolt gear for Slim Jims and everything. So, yeah. All right. Now let's get to the train wreck.
Here it comes. Here it comes. This is one of those situations. It's almost like when we inevitably talk about Russo. Or not Russo, Nash, when we get to Nash. Okay. 2 icons in wrestling. And it's 1997. We're in WCW. Neither of these men, in my opinion, at this point, Hogan, arguably, Piper, definitely not, but icons in WCW, Piper and Hogan, in what they called the greatest cage match of all time. Okay. I'm going to take a little bit from the Church of Cornette because he cut a promo on Raw the following week after this. And he said that they had wanted to say they had the greatest cage match in wrestling history. And he said they had the greatest cage match in 3 weeks because 3 weeks prior to this was the first Hell in a Cell match between Undertaker and Kane. So, like, this was not even a close to the best.
You mean Undertaker and Shawn?
Or Undertaker and Shawn, rather, with Kane's like coming out. Now,
You said it was
maybe not
3 weeks. That was 3 weeks before this?
Yeah, that was in your house. Maybe not weeks, but that was in your house before this in October. The previous in your house was the Hell in a Cell match.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So they said the greatest.
Why would you do that then?
Yes. The greatest cage match of all time. No, maybe the greatest cage match since that one. Like, the point was, like, no. You know what I mean? Like, not even close. He also said
because it was the only one.
Yeah. Like, yeah, that was the whole point of it. He said that these 2 icons were sucking wind so hard the first 3 rows died of oxygen deprivation. And you're absolutely right. I don't know. This was the longest 13 minutes of my godforsaken life.
It was.
I have gone through hundreds of rounds of chemotherapy, and this match was more painful than that. Like, the cage didn't have a top. The way it was built didn't make any sense. It looked like it was made out of bamboo.
It's the original cage from the original Halloween Havoc, from the main event with Muda and Sting and Funk and Flair. Like, it just didn't have all the garb draped over it to make it look spooky.
So they spent $100,000 on a camera. Yeah. They spent $100,000 on their camera, so they used fucking bamboo to make their cage? Yeah. Like, is that what happened here?
Popsicle sticks. It wasn't even bamboo.
No. Like, that's how this came across. You have 2 icons in the ring, as they would call it themselves. And they're wrestling in a popsicle stick, like Lincoln Log Cabin style cage. It was absolutely terrible. When you sent me the picture, DadHat, of you starting the match, and I said, just remember all the great things that happened before it. So what'd you think? Like, how great was it?
There's one good moment. And that would be, again, Randy Savage jumping off the top of the cage. Like, that's the only good moment in that match. But here's the thing. This was the time frame where, there's a fake Sting. Oh, there's a fake Sting. Oh, there's 18,000 fake Stings around the ring. They should have tied it all back in, and one of the fake Stings been DDP to wrap it in with making sense of Savage being in there. But again, they weren't thinking that way. Hogan must pose. Hogan must, like, the fact that Hogan lost here, but again, also the fact that it wasn't a title match and Roddy didn't take the belt with him, but he came out with it because he was the quote unquote commissioner. Blah 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 blah.
The rare Hogan submission loss too.
But he didn't tap. He fell asleep.
He had to go to sleep. But still, like, you almost never saw that. Less than you saw him take a pin. Did you see him have to tap out or pass out?
Yeah. And then the lovely fan jumping the cage.
That was in my notes, was the fan. I don't know how he made it over without the cage falling completely apart, because he weighed about 135 pounds and he's climbing over it, and you can see the whole entire cage just doing this. And I'm thinking to myself, they're passing this off as him being a fan, but security's just standing outside, just like, like, let this guy go in. Like, it was,
I don't know.
not the
Savage and
vibe.
Hogan beat the life out of him,
They beat the pants off the dude. And
especially
this shows,
Savage.
we'll give a little bit of, we'll give him credit where credit is due, because we saw Savage climb up to the top and jump off, and it held fine. But Shayna's absolutely right.
Mhm.
It did look like it was going to collapse under that fan.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
so there was a little bit of like, okay, maybe the stability is there. But overall, it looked like it was held together with hopes and dreams. That's it. Worst cage match.
Very
in
good
history.
metaphor for how the entire match went.
And I'm a big fan of Roddy Piper, one of the
Me
greatest
too.
heels to ever do it. This was not his heyday.
No.
I think in the big scheme, I
Mm-mm.
think DadHat, what you're doing is you got me, you suckered me into doing this, because you've got me to rewatch all of this old WCW, because you were like, Will really loves territory wrestling. So I'm going to make him watch all these territory wrestlers he loved be really fucking terrible in the ring.
That wasn't my plan, but I mean,
That's what you're doing here by making me go back and rewatch this, because I loved Piper until I watched this match, and now I
Yeah.
was like, oh, this guy's gross.
Piper.
Why did he think this was okay? He looked at Eric Bischoff and was like, that's the
Good
finish.
idea.
That's the one. That's
Yeah.
the one that we need to do
Handcuff me,
here.
handcuff me to some popsicle sticks.
Mm-hmm.
All right, it's your show again.
Oh yeah, that match sucked. Fuck you, Terry. Fuck you, Terry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was Halloween Havoc 97. Before we get into the business of things, as always, shout out everything you want to. Shayna, plug everything you got, including your new TikTok and everything.
Yes. So, I'm still trying to get my old TikTok back. So for now, we're just gonna go with the new one, which is Shanna Hill official backup. And my Instagram is Shanna Hill 7. Those are the two best places to get a hold of me. And if you do follow me on my old TikTok page, Shanna Hill official, do not unfollow me, because I am aiming to get it back, and I've already lost 1,000 followers on it. So don't unfollow me from that one, please and thank you.
Well, what you got going on with Rivet City Radio and Botch Bots and Share Shots?
Lots of work. Part of me wants to go back to a kitchen. No, I'm just kidding. That'll never fucking happen. It's tons of fun. Botch Bots and Chair Shots this coming week. We've got Husky Rhodes coming on. We're talking about the ECW heavyweight title. The week after that, the Wrestle Talk Wolfpack is taking over Botch Bots and Chair Shots. The week after that, we've got the boys from Wednesday Night Wallop coming over from the land from down under. They're meeting. It's gonna be like 6 o'clock in the morning for them when we record this episode, because that's how far ahead in the future they are from us. I have to worry about 1 hour with you. They're 13 hours ahead of me.
So
So
it's tomorrow. That's my first question. What's happening tomorrow?
That's my favorite thing, is when I see Tom, I'm always like, Tom's from the future, because it's already Friday.
Yeah.
So that's it. We've got tons of stuff coming up for October. Tons of good wrestling content.
Sweet. Well, make sure you follow Shayna. Make sure you follow Botch Bots and Share Shots from Rivet City Radio on Twitch and on YouTube, Patreon, all the good things they got going on. I love you and everybody over there. Just because you let me be a little part of it. So follow World Championship Wreckage everywhere. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, channel here, like and subscribe. Lots of shows going on. Queen's Court, I'm so tired. I'm forgetting names of the shows on the own damn channel. Fantasy Warfare with XLJ, where we fantasy book, different organizations, different time periods, which is fun. I don't know if I text you, Will, but we've thought of one for me and you. So
Really?
yeah, to go up against each other where we build our card. Jay, our lovely producer, Jay Knows Wrestling and creative character writing, and so much more. Back in the day, soon to be Bound for Impact, our TNA and Impact history, kind of gonna show with Self Bet Wrestling, Mr. B Roll, and Best Gout Machine coming soon. And it's gonna be kind of run like this. They're gonna throw out polls. It's gonna be like, instead of going week to week, they're gonna jump all over the place. And, watch alongs, character.
You're like Tony Khan of podcast networks.
Nah.
You see a podcast content creator and you're like, yo, dog, you want to be on my podcast network? You get a show, and you get a show, and you get a show.
I ain't got time to put something out myself every day. So that's
what it is. That's why you and I only have to work one day a week, is because you got other motherfuckers making content 36 days a week. Everybody works for you now.
They work with me.
I love it. With me. I used to say shit like that too. Yeah.
That's an off-camera topic. But as always, we got polls to throw out to you. So we're still continuing October with Halloween Havoc. Will, I'm gonna let you go first because you won this round, and what year you throw out will depict on what I throw out. So
want to go with the first one, 1990, right?
1989.
1989 then.
Main event, Ric Flair and Sting versus Great Muta and Terry Funk in the Thunderdome match. And Bruno Sammartino was the special guest referee.
I'll wear my Bruno shirt when I win this poll.
When?
Did I take yours?
No, but part of me wants to put this one out there just to make you have to watch this match.
2000?
No, 94.
I almost said 94.
Because it's the main event as Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair in a steel cage match.
Oh my god.
Okay. I'm gonna throw out. Hold on. I have to make sure this is the right one. Please hold on. Nope, it's not that one. Please hold. Live podcasting, everyone.
Joe, cut all this out.
Yep, no, it'll get left in there. I ain't got time to cut stuff out. I'm going to choose 1991 for two reasons. One, you get the wonderful Chamber of Horrors match. Sting, El Gigante, and the Steiner Brothers versus Abdullah the Butcher, the Diamond Stud, Cactus Jack, and Vader. But then you also get the main event, which is Luger and Ron Simmons in a 2 out of 3 falls match. So, 91 versus 89. So we get to watch some old school stuff.
Did we watch the Chamber of Horrors match for something else? Why do I remember Abdullah the Butcher getting stuck in that electric chair? Like, I just recently watched that match. Was it for this?
We did, but I don't know what for. Looking back on,
because I was like, "That's fresh." Was the Cactus
Scott
Jack
Hall?
Stink? No,
Scott Hall? No,
maybe Cactus Jack.
Maybe we talked about it in Scott Hall because the Diamond Stud.
That's true.
Maybe. I don't know.
Abdullah the Butcher.
I do karate. All right, folks. Well, for the wonderful Shanna Hill, thank you for joining us. Anytime
Thanks
you want
for
to come on,
having me.
you're always welcome here. For the Will Gray, I'm your friendly neighborhood dad hat wearing wrestling fan, and we are going to sign off just like we do every week, folks. Wise words from the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah, baby, I got one more thing to say. Your gas tank is full. Your dipstick is in. Your windows washed. Y'all come back and see me again.